Hey folks, welcome back to my channel as Cinematic Otaku Chris here brings you another fresh monthly episode of Franchise Frenzy. Here we are at episode 9 as we wave goodbye to 9 film franchises while the others still press on. And still, it has been quite some year in partaking this challenge, eh? Well, I thought so myself. Not so much of an introduction to describe here, but I can say this. We will be saying goodbye to 2 that have been 9 film franchises as of right now, while the other is still pressing on throughout this challenge. So about time we get rolling on the first title, as I hope you included this entry in your latest episode. Alien Romulus from 2024, which just came out this year recently, and it's not out on digital or physical just yet, but I was lucky enough to caught this on the big screen last month with my brother and our friends. Before I can discuss my thoughts about ranking this film, I'd like to start off with this. After Convent receiving mixed reactions, Fox decided to go even deeper and better with the origins, as this time we focused on a young girl and a group of her friends taking an expedition into an abandoned space station where something terrible had just happened, while fear is waiting to be awakened, as they must confront and survive the horrors they will go through. And the result was wilder, scarier, and impressive. For the latest entry, Fox selected a perfect director who was very passionate about the franchise as well the horror genre, and his name was Fede Alvarez, who gave us the 2013 remake of Evil Dead. With him on board, they decide to bring back something that fans always wanted, that they liked best in the past: practical effects. I mean, real special effects done by hand and not CGI. But there is some CGI and a little AI tossed into the mix though. But seeing practical effects being used again on the big screen after God knows how many years since the last time we've seen that being used is a real blessing. They are absolutely amazing, enough to keep you creeped out and amazed, thanks to those who have worked with Stan Winston in the past, carrying his legacy since Aliens. Has mostly not too many people I've known except for the lead actress, to which some may recognize in films like Pacific Rim Uprising and Civil War. And I mean, she does a terrific job portraying the protagonist as you empathize with her and root for her to battle the terror she's confronted with. And that ending is OMG so unbelievable. You have to see it to believe it, because I was like, what in the world when it happened, because don't want to give away too much on that bit, as it's still, wow, impressed and creeped me out. Catching it on the big screen was quite memorable, even though nobody screamed a lot other than I did at times, and easily notice a few Easter eggs or homage to the franchise throughout. And you'll have to see which Easter eggs I mean once you get around watching Romulus. Possibly the best film I've seen so far this year, as one of the very best entries in the entire franchise, as I rank in between Alien and Prometheus so far. This is where the franchise stopped here for now, and the TV series is yet on the way for next year. But still, I highly rank Alien Romulus at first place in this month's episode of Franchise Frenzy. Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday from 1993. If you thought Jason's trip to Manhattan marked his final voyage and final killing spree as well concluded the 80s, then think again, because welcome to the 90s, when Paramount oddly decided to sell the franchise to New Line Cinema. Just because some fans weren't too serious on Jason Takes Manhattan. That's when Son S. Cunningham returned to the franchise in producing, coming up with a new idea in resurrecting Jason. Only this time, my question is, who's Jason? Where's Jason? In which all that best summarize the film's new storyline at the time. Jason gets killed, but yet his deranged soul passes on, one body after another. Literally, it's like, tag, you're it! And being possessed by his monstrous killing spree. As that being a bizarre yet wacky concept for this so-called conclusion of a sequel there. Officially not one of the greatest sequels in the franchise, but it is a huge guilty pleasure of mine, because I can just kick back and have a good laugh at oh boy, do I remember the first time I saw the cover art for it on VHS? I still do, and it was through one of my stepmother's nephews who had it on tape and was telling us some very silly things about that film. I mean, that worm on the cover, which was in the film of course, looked so hokey. My brother and I were very interested in seeing that, to which we did watch that during our later years in high school, and it was an absolute hoot. Perhaps it's my brother's favorite entry in the entire franchise, as well it's one of mine's too. Can't help wondering whatever happened to Jason in that film, but still, there would be another film that would bring Jason back years later. And this is where I rank Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday at second place for this month's episode of Franchise Frenzy.